Once upon a time, in a town full of winding alleys and old brick houses, there lived a young man named Sam. For generations, his family had made lamps. Beautiful lamps with glowing shades that looked like stained glass. They were works of art, but they also had a reputation. People said that if you put one of their lamps in your house, it would glow brighter if your house was filled with truth and dimmer if it was filled with lies. Samir didn't believe that nonsense. For him, the lamps were just colored glass and metal. There was nothing magical about them. One day, Samir was delivering a lamp to an old woman who lived at the end of a shadowy alley. As he walked up to the house, he heard the sound of hammering. He knocked on the door, and a moment later, the door opened and an old blind woman stood before him. Startled, Samir asked her how she heard him knock. The woman smiled and said she could sense things long before they happened. She invited Samir inside, and as he stepped into the house, he noticed that it was completely dark. No electricity, no candles, yet the woman seemed comfortable in the darkness. She led him to a table, sat down, and asked Samir to have some tea. As they talked, Samir learned that the old woman lived alone. Her husband had passed away years ago. She missed him very much, and when she felt a little sad, the darkness would seem deeper, the silence a little louder. But then Samir came along with his brightly colored lamp, and when he placed it on the table, it glowed with a soft, steady light, chasing away the shadows and filling the room with color. The woman's face lit up with joy, and she thanked Samir for bringing light into her dark house. She told him stories about her late husband, how he used to tease her for being blind, but also how he took care of her and loved her every step of the way. She shared her struggles living alone in the big house, and she told him about her hopes for the future. She didn't want to be a burden on her children, so she was learning to live on her own. She even showed Samir how she had taken up painting and was making beautiful pieces despite her blindness. Samir listened patiently, offering words of encouragement and comfort. He felt a connection with the old woman, a bond that transcended their differences in age and experience. As the sun began to set, Samir got up to leave. He placed the lamp in a bag and handed it to the woman. She paid him for it and wished him a safe journey back. Samir thanked her for her kindness and for the tea, and he promised to return soon. On his way back, Samir stopped by a mansion down the street. It was a place he had been eyeing for a while, thinking it would be a great place to sell one of his family's lamps. He rang the doorbell, and soon a servant came to answer. Samir asked to speak to the owner, but the servant shook his head. "No visitors, please," he said curtly. So Samir tried again later that week, but he was turned away again. Undeterred, Samir tried a third time. But each time he tried, the servant told him the same thing. "No visitors, please." Puzzled by the rejection, Samir decided to try one last time. He left the lamp on the doorstep and hurried back home. That night, unable to sleep, he kept thinking about the old woman and how happy the lamp had made her. Suddenly, an idea struck him. He got out of bed and went straight to the woman's house. As he approached, he noticed that the lamp in her window was glowing brighter than the stars in the sky. Curious, he walked closer and saw that the light was coming from within the house. He knocked on the door and the old woman opened it. She was delighted to see Samir again and invited him inside. As he stepped in, he saw that the room was filled with the soft, warm glow of the lamp. The old woman motioned for him to sit down and poured him some tea. When he told her about the mysterious events at the mansion, she smiled knowingly. After Samir left, the old woman's lamp glowed brighter than ever before. It became a beacon of light in the dark town, visible from far away. And that's how Samir realized that the real magic wasn't in the lamp, but in the honesty of the old woman's heart.